I'm out on a gravel ride today, and you'll notice something a little interesting. I'm riding what some folks call technically a mountain bike. So what's the difference between mountain biking and gravel cycling? For upright bikes, the distinction is a little bit more clear in a visual sense. But for folks that ride trikes, I think there's a lot of room for discussion. Both mountain biking and gravel riding are off-road cycling disciplines. And off-road just means anything off pavement. So hard-packed dirt, gravel, single track, double track, downhill, free ride, anything related to bike packing or bike camping. Basically just any time you're riding off-road. And technically, there's actually a lot of different types of off-road cycling disciplines. And we're not going to get into all of that today, but maybe in the future I'll do a video about that and how it relates to paracycling. We're going to talk about the difference between para-adaptive mountain biking and para-adaptive gravel cycling. What's the difference? And does it even matter? And I know this video might be a little controversial for our community, but I think it's time that we start to talk about these things. And to be very clear, we're not going to get into racing and race categories and some of the more controversial issues surrounding those things. We're just going to be focusing on the recreational lens. Welcome back. My name is Annika, community leader, advocate, and adaptive athlete. If you want to keep along with this series, make sure you like and subscribe. Make sure you're also following me on Instagram at geodesicdome and DirtBound at dirtbound.cycling. So before getting into the more controversial aspects of this discussion, we're going to talk a little bit about route selection, ride distances, and ride types. So you'll often hear people talking about the differences between mountain biking and gravel cycling based on bike choices and gear. And in this video, we're going to get a little into the weeds in this conversation. So what's the difference? How does it relate to paracycling? And let's be real, does it even matter? Let's talk about route selection. So technically, mountain biking and gravel cycling are both off-road cycling disciplines. Not to confuse you, but you could take a mountain bike on gravel routes and you could take a gravel bike on mountain bike trails. However, mountain biking typically takes place on single track, double track, or in free ride zones. And to plan a route, you might use something like Trail Forks or visit your local trail organization's website, use Strava heat maps, or even YouTube. For me personally, I like to use a combination of Trail Forks and YouTube when I'm planning my routes. I'm also a part of a few different Discord channels, WhatsApp groups, and group texts where we talk about different routes that could be great for rides. Gravel cycling isn't about just riding strictly gravel. It's about riding a variety of surfaces. You could be riding single track, double track, hard packed surfaces, sand, and even some pavement. To plan a route for gravel, you might use something like Ride with GPS or look up different gravel routes on YouTube or on the internet. There's also gravel field adventure guides that you can pick up at your local bike shop or online that can uncover routes in specific parts of the United States. And then of course, turning to the internet to see what types of cool gravel routes are in the areas that I'm looking to ride in and or visit. If you're not already using YouTube to plan your routes, I can't recommend it enough. I love to use YouTube as an adaptive athlete because I can use a combination between YouTube, Strava, Trail Forks, Ride with GPS, and determine what a route might be like for my particular bike. So I can look at things like elevation gain, I can get pictures of potential routes, and even watch videos from first-person point of view to see if my bike might be able to traverse some tricky sections. When it comes to ride types and ride distances, the distinction between mountain biking and gravel isn't as clear. I don't know if you're catching on to a trend here, but the lines are kind of blurred between these two off-road cycling disciplines right now. Typically, gravel rides you might think of more as an endurance activity where you're thinking about things like cadence and efficiency and going long distances. But Gravel rides can range anywhere from, 1 mile to 300 and plus. It really just depends on what you're looking to get into. And to be really clear, you don't have to be prioritizing efficiency or cadence or endurance. You can just go out for fun and ride at your own pace for any distance that you like. For gravel rides, I like to kind of stick between 10 and 35 miles. Once again, this is also dependent on my battery. Typically for mountain bike rides, for ride types and distances, we're also looking at a variable amount of miles, right? It could be anywhere from 1 mile to 300 miles. You can ride all night, you can ride all day, and you can also ride at your own pace. For me, personally, when thinking about mountain bike rides, I like to stick between the sweet spot of kind of between 7 to 15 miles. And some of this is dependent on my battery and just kind of what type of riding I like to do. I'm not a person that wants to be out riding all day, although I do enjoy a good half-day ride. But after a certain point, I'm ready to get off the trail, grab a burger and beer, and hang out with friends and talk about our ride. I do want to make a note that since both of my bikes are electric, I have one that's all electric, the Bowhead Reach, and one that's e-assist, the Bowhead RX, I am limited to distances and ride length based on my battery. And so that's something I'm always constantly keeping track of when I'm riding. Where is my battery and am I going to run out? However, there are lots of things you can do if you want to go for longer distances or more challenging rides. You can invest in backup batteries and spare batteries. There are so many different ways you can carry your batteries with you, or if you're in a race, you can actually even stash your batteries on course or put them at an aid station. However, I do want to mention that additional batteries can be expensive, they're not always covered by grants, and the price has increased due to tariffs. And so I know this is a little vague and I probably didn't answer all of your questions, but in my opinion, it's a little bit of a mindset. Sure, if you're going to an event or if you're racing, the lines might be drawn for you on what equipment you can and can't use and what it looks like for you to show up and participate. But in your own personal life, just get out there and have fun. It doesn't matter what type of bike you have or the routes you choose or what you're interested in doing one particular day versus another. Just get out and have a good time. There's a lot of reasons why I just call it off-road cycling, right? Because there's so much freedom in not defining in what you're doing or how you're riding or what equipment you're using. I think there's some freedom here for you to choose as a paracyclist what these two sports mean to you and how you want to interact with them. I encourage you to get involved in your local communities and have conversation with folks and advocating for more trail access for individuals with disabilities. If you enjoyed what we talked about today, make sure you like and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram, follow DirtBound on Instagram. I have so many more videos coming up and I can't wait to share more with you. And I know we didn't cover different types of gear you want to wear or different cycling events or races for these two categories. We could do whole separate videos on those things and I plan on doing those. Today, I kind of just wanted to talk about the foundational differences between these two sports and what they were.